Illinois Stories is brought to you by the Corporation for Public Broadcasting and by the support of viewers like you. Thank you.
Hello, welcome to Illinois Stories. I'm Mark McDonald in Carthage at the Fitz Randolph house. If you've lived in Carthage any period of time, you know this as the Carr house, the Dr. Carr house. But actually, Dr. Fitz Randolph built it in 1873. And it has a lot of the same remarkable features that it did in 1873, but of course it's been restored and brought sort of back to life by the two new owners, Steve and Karol Carr. New owners, I say new owners, you bought it in 2006, right?
2007,
Yeah,
that's correct.
2007. And within a year, you had it restored to the point where you could open it up as a B&B.
That's correct. It was a big push, but we got it done.
Well, that's a lot of work.
It was a lot of work, yeah. There's no question, and the work is ongoing.
Yeah, well, I'm sure it's a lifelong, you know, when you buy a property like this, it's a lifelong commitment if you decide to stay in it.
You're never finished, Mark. There's always something to do.
I wouldn't think so. Okay, from 1873 on, this, I didn't mention, actually the house is intact. I mean, except for a few additions, which are kind of minor. This was a big, approximately 6,000 square foot house when it was built.
That's right. Yeah, it was kind of the landmark house here in town at the time, I think.
It underwent some changes, which we will talk about. But Steve, first, if you would, tell me what sort of, what the architect and the designer was going for when they designed and built this house.
Well, this was an Italianate style house, very similar to that period of time in the 1870s, very popular. And obviously the big tower was the most imposing feature on the house, and made it have that institutional kind of, quote, pseudo castle look, I think, is what they were looking for.
Yeah. The other thing that you noticed immediately is the turret.
Yes.
That bay area that comes out was always there, but the top, the pointed turret part, was not there, right?
No. That was added in about 1894 by the second owner of the house. That was turrets and wraparound porches, more of that, I think it's called Queen Anne style, was kind of in vogue at that time, and she had the funds to do it, so I think she did a major structural, or at least on the facade, she did a couple of things that would make a statement.
Yeah, and she did. Well, the tower and the turret make a statement, all right. Now, while we're looking at the tower up there, I love your story about when you recently put on the new roof, you also had some ironwork to do, didn't you?
Yes, we did. We had an original picture of the house, and it had ironwork along the ridges and also at the top of that tower. And over the years, who knows what happened to it, but it needed to be back there. And I was able to find that ironwork at an auction. It's actually an antique yard fence. And we took it to the local blacksmith shop here and had it reworked a little bit. And then when we had the big lift here doing the tower roof, we were able to hoist it back up there and attach it, and kind of looks the way it should, in my opinion.
It looks terrific. Also, you know, we mentioned the new roof. Of course, everybody knows what roofing costs these days. But windows, too. You know how many windows are in this house because you replaced
We've replaced all the round top windows here. I believe there are 32 of them, and each one of them is slightly different, sometimes by an inch, sometimes by a quarter of an inch. But yeah, they all had to be redone. And
you had to have each one custom made.
Yeah, there was a company that came, and we did it through the local lumberyard here, and they sent a rep out and measured every window, and it was I think it was about a 6-month lag time from the time they were here measuring till they were done.
And again, a major expense, with 32 custom-made windows.
Yeah, we laugh, we say we bought the house the first time, and then we bought it again when we put the windows in. But,
and you bought it again when you put the roof on.
That's right. We just keep buying it, but like I say, you're never finished, but you have to do it. I mean, you have to maintain.
Sure. And we want to point one more thing before we get closer to it. If you look on the left side of the house, it's not an addition, that's the original part of the house, but you can see where the porch walks up to the back door there. That's what the porch around the front of the house looked like.
Exactly.
That was what the original porch looked like.
We have a picture on the office wall that I don't know how much detail you can glean from that for television, but it shows the more linear porches going all the way around the house. And so that is an original porch. This one obviously was added to make it have that wraparound effect.
Okay, we have two points of interest to see before we go inside. We're going to go up onto the new porch from like 1900, right? The new porch. And also you have some original windows that have survived there that you want to show us. So let's go take a look at that.
Okay, very good.
2, 3, 4, 5 steps up onto this wonderful new wraparound porch. I say new. What year did you say she had it built?
1894.
1894, which makes it a Queen Anne Italianate mansion, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
All right. And it's, I bet your guests love sitting out here.
They do. They spend a lot of time out here, and it's cool in the evenings, and you know, there's just a real graciousness about people sitting out on the porch and enjoying a beverage or something.
You mentioned that one of the things when you take on a house like this, you can't just go to the lumber yard or just go to the hardware store and buy anything. Everything has to be custom made. And here's a good example. This big, beautiful porch. You say, well, it's just lumber, right?
Right.
Well, it's not just lumber.
No.
Because you had to try to match the old wood here.
Exactly.
With what you wanted to carry on. You
Right.
wanted to carry on that same. So what do you do?
Well, in our case, we had it made. We've had a number of things made for the house to match what was here, what we're trying to match up with. Yeah. This actually bought the stock boards through an Amish craftsman at Plymouth, which is not far from here. Yeah. He ran them through his planer and milled it to specs, and then brought it back out, and their crew helped put this deck back on. Yeah. And that was the only thing we could do, because you just simply can't source that anymore.
Wow. And of course, we talked about all these windows. You were very fortunate. The curved windows here on this, I don't know if it's a bay window or what you would call this, but the curved windows here were intact.
Yes.
You didn't have to do anything.
No,
there.
This is still the old wavy glass.
Oh, that's beautiful.
And you look through it from the inside, you can see the little pock marks in it and just the wave that it has. But yes, that's the concave glass was original to the house, and how it survived all these years without having a baseball bat or a ball thrown through it.
We don't want to give anybody any ideas. And also, you had to have this, when you want something like this is a special feature too, this curved railing here, and you can't just go buy that either.
No,
you have to have that made.
Exactly. The old one was rotting and in tough shape, so we took that whole thing intact over to this same Amish craftsman, and he was able to reproduce that and
terrific.
Put it back on. So
Terrific.
we didn't want to do anything that was totally different than what was here.
Yeah. Well, our next stop is inside, and I understand we're going to be joined by your wife, Carol.
Yes.
She's going to show us around.
Yes.
So let's
She'll
go
be
on.
happy to.
Oh, it does work.
Yes.
The old doorbell.
You bet. Welcome to the Fitz.
Well, thanks, Carol. Just talking to your husband, Steve, outside.
Yeah.
Nice guy.
Yeah,
It was
I think
a
so.
phenomenal amount of work, wasn't it?
And all by hand.
Really?
Yep,
You
all by-
and your crews did it all by hand.
Well, I mean, the original house all by hand.
The original
we
house.
used electric tools. We're not dumb. No.
One of the first things you see when you come in is you look at it and say, wow, the archway's still there, just the way it was. The woodwork is the way it was. The glass is all intact.
Yeah.
It's terrific.
pretty amazing that over time, 141 years, that they, people have cared for
You
it.
had, but you did have a lot to do. And Steve was just lining out some of the jobs you had to do.
Yeah.
But it's remarkable how much of it was intact as well.
Oh, we were really blessed. A lot of the woodwork and that sort of stuff,
I think we just got to look at the woodwork and the steps going up and all that.
Right.
And you can see, I don't think this was probably ever painted.
No.
So nobody had to go over here and do all this.
No.
And it's a beautiful theme because it has this light colored hardwood above this dark colored hardwood. And I'm not sure what those are, but it's a
I'm
really
not
nice
exactly sure either. We think the railing is probably walnut, but whether this is a darker stain or not, I don't know. But that theme does carry through to the woodwork in the parlors in here.
All through the house. If I were a guest here of Dr. Fitz Randolph, he and his wife would have showed me in here first, probably.
This is where you would have come, and this would have been the reception room. It's the front parlor.
And there we see that beautiful glass that we looked at from the outside.
Right.
And I don't know if the camera picks it up or not, but you can see the ripple effect
You
from
can
the old
see the
original
wavy,
glass.
and
Yeah.
at night
Isn't
with
that
the
nice?
light behind it, it
Oh.
is a little off-putting. The picture over here on the wall is Mr. Black, who is the second owner's husband. Mary Alice Kurtz bought the home in 1894.
From the Blacks?
No, she married Mr. Black. And interestingly, in
okay.
1894, when she married him in 1895, she hyphenated her name.
Is that right?
Kurtz Black.
Nobody was doing that back then.
She was quite a lady.
Oh, be darned.
Yep.
Okay. Now, this room is, the ceilings, of course, are very high. The crown molding, was that here?
That was all here. All of the trim, all of the crown molding.
Oh, wow.
We had to take it down, clean it, repair the ceilings, and
Yeah.
put it back.
Yeah.
But it's all as it was.
Yeah. In fact, this is a good time to talk about this because you had some water damage in here
Yes,
from
we
over
did.
the years. And it was actually these center walls right here up below the tower, wasn't
Right.
it, that did the leakage. So you had a lot of tearing out to do as well, didn't you?
Yes, we did. We had to tear out a lot before we could even, put it back. But we did repair all that. The two center walls are brick, which is a cribbing that supports the tower. And then we rebuilt 3 floors of this whole wall area.
The wall all the way up, huh? Oh man, that's
Yep.
a lot of work.
Yep.
This doorway's phenomenal, and I asked
Yeah.
you, well, do these pocket doors still work?
They
and you said,
sure
yeah, you
do.
can move them.
And they are massive.
They are huge. Look how tall they are. They go all the way up.
And to carry back to the dark and light theme, you notice on all of this woodwork, this is cherry and then this is walnut. And they carried that through all of the woodwork in these 2 rooms.
Really striking.
And then the family would have primarily used this room.
Okay, formal parlor, and then this would be
And
like
more
the family's
family parlor.
Okay. And you know that this was a music room too, don't you?
Yes, the original piano is in here. And again, the same theme on that with the cherry cabinet and the walnut legs. We researched it. It was built by the Ohio Valley Piano Company in 1873.
And it stayed with the house.
And
it was here.
stayed with the house throughout time.
When they built this bay area, this bay window area, they knew they were going to have a piano there.
And that's a Victorian grand, and if you notice the keyboard, it is 1 octave less than what we are accustomed to today, 80 keys
80
rather
keys.
than 88.
Well, I can't sing that high anyway. Can
No, not me either.
And this man that was associated with this company was a Baldwin, right?
Yes, Ohio Valley Piano Company, the gentleman who was at the helm of it during this 1873 period was Mr. Baldwin.
I'll be darned. Well, everybody knows
yeah.
that name. The fireplaces that we'll see through the house, again, you're so fortunate. They were all here. They've not been messed with.
They haven't been messed with.
Painted or anything like that?
No. And all the original brass work is in the back. They are short boxes. They would have been used, or, not very deep boxes.
Yeah.
They would have been used for coal.
And we'll see as we go through here too. Fitz Randolph was pretty ahead of his time because he doesn't have fireplaces in every room. He had steam heat.
Yes, he did. And we know from the evidence in the attic of other chimneys that they had parlor stoves in probably several of the rooms as well. But at that time, steam heat was a new technology. So it's like we today that don't give up the old appliance until we're sure the new one works.
Yeah.
So
Now, and we know that this was always the dining room.
we know that this was always the dining room.
And that's what you use it for too, right?
Absolutely. We bring our guests in here in the morning and treat them to a lovely breakfast. And we do all plate serving. We try to stay with the theme of the house. None of this toaster pastry in a toaster that somebody has to fix kind of thing. So
Again, a fireplace which is with the tile and the woodwork intact, just the way it was.
Exactly.
And this is interesting too, Carol, because back here, this is built in, and it's been there since the house was built.
it's been here since the house was built. And it is a pass-through to what was originally the butler's pantry and now has been converted to our kitchen.
Okay, so
The original kitchen was in the basement.
Oh, okay. So what we're looking at through that doorway is what you use as a kitchen now, but it was
Right.
then a butler's pantry, and the butler would then pass through what was ever needed through here.
Exactly.
Okay.
The
all right.
linens, the serviceware, that kind of thing, all would have been stored in the butler's pantry.
Okay, which brings up another point. The kitchen then was elsewhere.
Kitchen was directly below us in the basement. This chimney wall houses another, opening,
Oh,
a
okay. So the
fireplace
stove
opening
was
in the
down there.
basement.
Okay.
Well, no stove, it was a fireplace.
Okay.
And it had a pot arm on it. And they would have prepared the meals down there. And then there was a doorway, a wide doorway here. And the maids brought the food up from the basement and would have served.
So there's a stairway there.
There's a stairway that goes to the basement in behind.
Okay, all right. And there was a door.
And there was a door.
Neat, neat. Okay, so after, let's say Dr. Fitz Randolph has a bunch of men in for dinner,
Yes.
for a business dinner or
Right.
something. Then they want to go to smoke or do whatever men do after
And
dinner.
Mrs. Fitz Randolph would have gone over to the parlor and entertained her guests
Okay.
over there and kept the children over there. And he would have come into this room. And this probably served as his office, but this is the room that the gentleman would have retired to and had their cigar and their glass of brandy, that sort of thing.
Generally misbehave, get out of the way
Typically,
of the women.
yep. They might have played cards in here. I would imagine they had some sort of a gaming table set up, and that was popular.
You use it for an office.
We use it as our reception area and office for the bed and breakfast. And we've done a couple of adaptations in here. We had to build this cupboard because we had to add 6 bathrooms for all of the guest rooms.
Yeah.
And so this cupboard camouflages the pipes that we have running down.
Very clever. Very clever.
and
you
the
needed
electrical
an entertainment
service and-
center anyway, so there you go.
Yep, and we keep beverages
Yeah.
and that sort of thing for our guests. When you get upstairs, you'll notice there are no televisions in the rooms. So
They
the
want to watch
guests,
TV, they can watch it
come
down
down
here.
here and
Okay.
watch television.
There's one of the radiators we were talking about, the
Yep.
steam heat.
Uh-huh.
And also, while we're looking up, I want to show, here's a good example right here, this transom over the door into the main hall.
Those are over all the doorways, and all of them we now have working. Steve spent one whole summer getting all the rods and everything to work. So they raise and lower. They allow
Original
the heat.
glass?
Yep, original glass,
And
and
when we
it's
go
all
upstairs,
etched.
we're going to see how that works, because what you've got is in the tower that we saw from the outside, you've got a way to open 8 windows up there,
Right.
which sucks hot air up, and these transoms allow that
Yep.
to happen.
If all of these are open, then the heat that rises naturally goes right up the central stairway, which works just like a chimney.
Yeah, neat.
Yeah. Yeah. The original picture of the house is right here on the lower. The Historical Society here gave us this picture.
And we're talking about this one right here?
Right,
Oh,
and
okay.
you'll see how institutional it looked without that big wraparound
Looks like
porch.
a school.
And the top of the turret was not on.
Right, right.
Just this lower part, which is right here in this room.
Carol, makes you wonder how many times these steps have been climbed in all these years, doesn't it?
It surely does.
I'm sure you make your way up here enough times, cleaning rooms and everything. This is the second floor.
This is the second.
The house is actually a 3-story house. The 3rd floor is mostly attic. And then the 4th floor is just the tower.
Right,
But
right.
let's go into the turret
Okay,
room, because we've
come on
talked
in.
about this turret many
Yes.
times, and we saw it from the outside, and
Right here.
and that's where you can see the rounded area that looks out over Carthage. Really nice, really
Yes.
nice, welcoming
Yes.
room.
This is a nice, big, gracious room. Would have been the master bedroom of the day.
It would have.
Yeah.
And since in 1873 they didn't have bathrooms in
Right.
the house, you had to add, of course.
Right, we added the bathrooms when we came for each guest suite so that they're all en suite.
And we were looking downstairs. We were right below this room, and you showed how you had built the cabinet to hide the pipes.
Exactly.
Those pipes come right up to here.
Come right up into here. Yeah.
Now, when Mr. and Mrs. Fitz, no, maybe not the Fitz Randolphs, but maybe the Coors or someone else, they had a nursery adjoining them.
Yes, they sure did. Let
After
me
you.
show you here. This room adjoins to the next room.
So they had a nursery that you stepped down into.
Right.
And now it's a guest room.
And now we
Yeah.
have made it into a guest room.
But isn't that terrific that they would have the? It's interesting that they stepped down into it.
But out in the hallway, there's that same elevation change.
You're
of
right,
2
coming up the steps, yep.
And that separates the more formal part of the house from where the children and the help would have been. The housekeeper and the maids, that kind of thing.
Okay, and
So.
again, here's these transoms with all the original glass. They're still there. That help ventilate the house.
Exactly.
And we were talking about ventilation in the tower. The only way to get up to the tower is up this wonderful
Up
staircase.
this little tiny staircase.
Yep.
But they even put all the detail work into this, which is
And what did you call that trellis at the top? That
carpenter's lace.
carpenter's lace. Isn't that beautiful?
And it's all hand carved.
And it's been here since the house was built.
It certainly
Very
has.
nice.
We'll just sneak around the corner here, Mark. It's kind of a tight spot, but that's how we get here.
Sneak is right. you kind of got a duck walk through here, and then arch your back. And then, well, you're good at this.
Well, I've been up here a lot because this gives us access to all of our roof lines. Just stepping out this window, I can access all of the roof lines. So that is another feature of this tower.
So this is, as we looked at the house from the outside, we're not at the top level of the tower.
We're at the first level of the tower.
Okay, we could go higher, but we're not going to do that because I'm not nuts.
Right. This was the last finished, as if you will, section of the tower. It's obviously been plastered at one time, and the ceiling was plastered, had been wallpapered, whatever.
Yeah.
But above from this, it's just more function and not anything else.
Okay, we talked about how this ventilates the house.
Yes.
So what you can do is in the summertime, and right now it is summertime, you can come up here and open these windows.
Right.
There's this screen will just, and you can feel it pulling, just sucking the air.
You can, and when you have all 8 windows open, as it would have been back in the day, and that open, it probably just felt like a blast furnace coming up here, sucking all that heat out of the main part of the house. So our forefathers were pretty smart in the way they designed things.
They were.
Very intelligent.
Let me ask you to move. I want to show something here. I'm not sure if we can get a view of Carthage or not, but this would be looking toward downtown. And if you came up here, you'd probably get a pretty nice view sometimes of the year if the leaves aren't too thick.
Yes, you do. Very nice.
Okay, now if people look around, you'll see the beautiful day I can see forever, Angie Perry from 2010. You have your guests come up here and sign.
If they wish to. What really started it was we found the builders, Dr. Randolph's children had signed the wall in a couple of places up high there.
In the very corner up there.
James P. Randolph, February 12th, 1887, and then one right next to it, probably a friend of his named Gilchrist, it looks like. But various people have signed the walls over the years, craftsmen that have worked up here, and we thought it'd be kind of neat if we just let guests who were interested come up and put a sign on the wall, because we'll never touch these walls as long as we own the place. This will be left for posterity.
Well, and I hope whoever has this after you feels the same way.
I do
it's very interesting. It'll someday. Well, it already is a piece of history, but as the years go on, I'm looking at one from 1889 there.
Yes.
Unless somebody's joking, it's in awful good shape from Augusta, Illinois.
I think from the penmanship, I would guess that's an old one.
Yeah.
You can kind of tell by the writing styles that that they have changed over the years.
Well, listen, I'm going to sign for not only for myself, but
we keep
Randy Phillips, who's our cameraman. Can we do that?
We keep a pencil here, and looks like there's a prominent place here, Mark. We'd love to have you sign that for us.
Just in my regular penmanship.
Absolutely.
Huh? I'm going to sign for Randy, too.
Very good. And we'd like to have the date on there, too, if you want to.
Illinois Stories.
Absolutely.
And it is August 20th?
21st, I believe.
21st, 2014. I can't believe it.
I hope 100 years from now, somebody sees that, Mark.
I hope so, too. Well, I think we've just about got a program here. Standing in the turret of the tower of the Steve Karol's bed and breakfast, the Fitz Randolph house in Carthage. Of course, they run a business here. You're welcome to be a guest here. But I think if you called ahead and wanted to see the house and they were available, I think they'd be glad to show it to you as well. With another Illinois story in Carthage, I'm Mark McDonald. Thanks for watching.
Illinois Stories is brought to you by the Corporation for Public Broadcasting and by the support of viewers like you. Thank you. For a DVD copy of the program you've just seen, send $19.95 to Network Knowledge, P.O. Box 6248, Springfield, Illinois 62708. Be sure to include the program name, subject, and when the program aired. You can also order with your credit card by calling 800-232-3605.